Hey guys, today we have the Audi A5 Sportback, as you can already see from the video title. Now if you're new to the channel, do subscribe because we do have a lot more car reviews coming up in the next few weeks and months. Now before I begin, some of you mentioned to me that in our previous videos, like I think the Type R and the CHR, that the audio wasn't that good. So I got a new mic already, and hopefully now the audio is better. I mean, it should be better, but if it's not, do leave a comment down below and let me know. This car is so low, I couldn't even see the traffic light turn green. So anyway, yeah, this is the A5 Sportback. Now to give you some context about this car, this Audi A5 Sportback, you can get it in two variants in Singapore, the A5 Design and the A5 Sport. The one that I'm driving right now is the A5 Design. So what's the difference between these two cars, the A5 Design and the A5 Sport? There are quite a lot of differences, mostly in the engine and the options that you get with the car. So this car starts at just over $200,000 brand new, whereas the A5 Sport starts at about 270,000 something, somewhere around there. So for $70,000 price difference, what's the difference between these two cars? Sorry, the aircon was quite loud just now because it's so hot outside. So I hope you guys can hear my voice properly just now. So what are the differences between these two cars? So I think the first thing is the engine. This A5 Design comes with a 2-litre 190 horsepower engine, whereas the A5 Sport comes with a 2-litre 252 horsepower engine. This car has 320 Newton meters of torque, whereas the A5 Sport has 370 Newton meters of torque. So horsepower wise, it's about 60 horsepower lesser than the A5 Sport, and torque wise is about 50 Newton meters of torque lesser than the A5 Sport. Okay, 0 to 100 timing for this car on paper is about 7.5 seconds, whereas the A5 Sport will do it in about 6 seconds. So that's about 1.5 seconds difference in 0 to 100 timing. So fuel consumption for this car is rated at 17.8 kilometers per litre, whereas for the A5 Sport it's rated at 15.6 kilometers per litre. So that's about 2 kilometers per litre difference there. This car weighs about 1.53 tons, whereas the A5 Sport weighs closer to 1.6 tons. And the fuel tank on this car is also smaller, it's 54 litres, whereas on the A5 Sport it's about 58 litres. This car comes with front wheel drive, whereas the A5 Sport comes with quattro all-wheel drive. So I'll probably put up a comparison table so you guys can compare the differences between the two cars a bit better. So that's the engine difference, and for $70,000 more you also get some nicer features as well. So you get quattro all-wheel drive like I mentioned, you get a panoramic sunroof, you get a heads-up display, you also get a sport exterior package, which means things like your radiator grille, your air inlets and your rear diffuser will be a different type or a different colour, something like that. But I think in Singapore most people would go for this A5 Design because the performance is, I think for Singapore roads, is quite adequate, and fuel consumption is also pretty good. I mean, it's supposed to do 17.8 kilometers per litre on paper, but as usual, real life fuel consumption won't be that figure. And I'm gonna drive around for a bit and then we'll get back to the actual fuel consumption after this. So let's talk about the exterior design. I personally feel that the previous Audi A5, the B8 generation, looks slightly better than this car, but that's just my opinion, because the Audi A5 B8, the previous generation, is in my opinion, one of the most good looking coupes or sportbacks that you can get, even on the road today, like more than 10 years after it was first released. I think it's still one of the most good looking cars on the road. So moving on to the interior of this car, I would say pretty minimalistic and modern. The quality is obviously very good, as you'd expect from an Audi. This is not an entry-level Audi anyway. This is a mid-level Audi. So, everything just, you can see here, the leather is just very high quality, the metal here, and everything just feels very premium and upmarket. So how does this car feel on the road? I've driven the previous generation A5, the B8, and I've also driven the latest Audi A4, the B9. And that A4 and this A5 is more or less the same car, just with a different body, because they share the same chassis, and if I'm not wrong, they share the same engine as well. Just that this car is a bit wider, longer and lower. So the feel of the A4 and the feel of this A5 is pretty similar, I would say. Maybe this car is just a bit slightly stiffer, I feel. So to be honest, this isn't the most fun car to drive, I have to say. Where this car excels is on long distance cruising. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fun it is to drive, I'll probably give it a 7. So let me just clarify the driving part a bit. What I mean by that is that this car is fun enough for the average driver. But if you're like an enthusiast or you're looking for a car that is very fun to drive, driving fun is on the top of your priorities when getting a car, then you'd probably look somewhere else. So if I put my foot down, you can see the car will just, after a slight turbo lag, the car will pick up and go. There's not much body roll as well because I feel that the car is quite stiff, but it still goes over bumps very well, so it's comfortable, definitely comfortable. This A5 is also relatively quiet. You don't really get a lot of wind noise, maybe just some road noise, as I think you guys can hear, right? You can hear the road noise right now. Visibility wise on this car, the front windshield is quite narrow, I have to say, so you can see that this sun visor here is actually very small. And just now when I was stopping at a traffic light, I actually have to put my head out to be able to see the traffic light. But actually, I'm nitpicking, to be honest. It's actually not too bad. I think just now I had to put my head out because the visor was down. I exited the highway without looking at which exit it was, and now I'm at one of the roads that I don't really like. Of all the roads in Singapore, I don't really like this Woodlands Avenue 12 road. I don't know why. It's just, I think because there's a red light camera, and this place, I don't know, every time I come here it's just so crowded. So how good is this car in terms of practicality? I would say practicality in this car is about average. You do get 2 cup holders here. Side door bins are a bit narrow. Your center storage space here is quite shallow, so you can't really keep much items. And the glove box is actually, I think the glove box size is pretty alright. Practicality in the rear, you do get a good amount of knee room. Headroom is also alright, but then you have this big transmission tunnel in the middle. So for 3 adults sitting in the back, it'll be quite tight. For 2 adults, should be fine. So given that this car is a 5-seater, you can sit 4 adults and maybe 1 child. If there are 3 adults in the back, it's gonna be quite tight, I have to say. Boot space wise, it's about 480 liters, which is about the same as you get in the Audi A4. So yeah, it's pretty good. So just now when I was driving on dynamic mode, I was doing about 11.5 kilometers per liter, and now I'm in efficiency mode and I'm doing about 17 kilometers per liter. So average, let's say this car can do maybe 13 kilometers per liter, okay, with a mix of highway and city driving. So let's say 13 kilometers per liter, and this car has a 54 liter fuel tank. So in real life, this car can do about close to around 700 kilometers on a tank of petrol, which I think is not too bad given how small it's. 54 liters isn't very big, to be honest. So overall, what do I think of this car? I'll just tell you what I like and dislike about this car. What I like, I think, is the design. I still think the previous generation A5 looks a bit better than this, but still, this is a very good looking car in my opinion. Number 2, the interior is really nice. I really like that. Number 3, what I like is the fuel consumption. For such a sporty car, the fuel consumption is honestly quite good. Given that, you know, it can perform as well, it has the performance to back it up. What I dislike about this car, honestly, I'm just nitpicking because there's not much that I dislike about this car. Number 1, I would have to say the biggest one is the rear seat space. You can't fit 3 adults in the back. It will be quite tight, to be honest. 2 adults, 1 kid should be fine. 3 adults, it's a squeeze. Number 2, what I don't like is probably the Audi MMI. It's not the easiest to use. It takes a while to get used to. But honestly, these 2 things I'm just nitpicking because at the end of the day, this is still a Sportback and it's supposed to be a sporty car more than a practical car. So yeah, that's about it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do let me know what car you want us to review next by leaving a comment down below. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.